So, just to be clear, I originally had no intention of actually filming this video, but I think there's a lot of information here that you guys really need to know. I bought this 102mm, I guess you'd call it a sheet metal intake. I didn't buy this off of eBay, and it's not actually a sheet metal intake and none of that bullshit, so. But there's a lot of stuff here that you guys need to know if you're going to buy one of these things and think you're just going to slap it onto your 5.3 because it says direct bolt on or whatever the hell else. Because it's not. I've had to buy a new water pump that has the car horizontal outlet as opposed to the truck's one that protrudes upward. I've had to buy, I've had to buy an alternator and a power steering relocation kit, which means I had to buy a pulley remover tool. I'm still waiting for that to arrive so I can finish all that up. I'm going to get rid of the fan, and I'm going to just go with electric fans. But if you think that you're just going to snap the sucker on, it's not going to happen. The average intake that you buy, one of these kits, does not come with the cable right here that allows you to attach your throttle and your cruise control cables. Also, on the back, the majority of them, they don't have the little sensor for your map sensor thing that goes into the back of the thing that reads the bars or whatever, the air pressure. Another thing that I'm finding, even after going through all this that I've been going through for the past week, now I got this damn steel plate right here that's on the back of the block. I'm gonna have to cut that sucker because my fuel line isn't working. Also, I had to buy a fuel pressure regulator, still waiting on that to arrive. Got damaged in shipping, so that had to be sent back or whatever. Jesus. So anyway, they're going to send me another fuel pressure regulator. I'm going to mount that on the firewall somewhere, and then I have to run my return line because this is a 2001, which I think is the Gen 3. And I didn't have a return line. I had a returnless system for my 2004 when I did my LS swap on my black Toyota. But in this 2001 Tahoe, it has the return system, so I need to set up a fuel pressure regulator. I'm going to need all kinds of fuel connector lines to go from this to the fuel pressure regulator, from that over to here. I think this is a 5/16 push lock. I had to get a fuel remover tool in order to fit that damn thing. There's a whole plethora of shit that I've had to do just to get this 102mm intake, which looks really fucking nice, I will say that. But I have had to go through so much hell in order to get it all to work. If you don't use a fuel pressure regulator, you're going to overpressurize your fuel rails. You're going to have fuel spilling out between your injectors, which I have started to have happen. So I might have to go back through and try to figure out how to stop that. But even with the fuel pressure regulator, I might be risking actually having some fuel leaks. So just a little piece of information here. If you guys are thinking you're just going to buy one of these suckers and bolt it straight onto your engine, it don't work that way. Okay? I've had to buy about $400 worth of extra shit on top of the cost of the intake itself just to get this damn thing to work. Now I'm going to need a reciprocating saw so I can cut that damn bracket back there. After removing all this other stuff over the past week, just to find out that this part doesn't work, that doesn't fit, I need this tool, etc., etc., etc. This is turning out to be a much bigger project than it was supposed to be. So, you're not just going to buy one of these suckers and bolt it on. So, I hope this video helps you guys out there. If you're thinking, I'm just going to buy one, oh hell yeah, it says right there and everything's included and blah blah blah. It don't work that way. So I don't know what the hell I'm going to do about this. The cable comes all the way down, so by the time this actually pulls up the slack, I don't know if my cruise control is even going to work after going with this damn thing. But the benefits better outweigh the costs. It better offset it here somewhere. So don't think that you're just going to buy this, bolt it on, and be good. You're going to have to buy a whole bunch of other shit in order to make this work. So just a little pro tip for you guys. Don't think you're just going to buy that and it's just going to work. The last video that I filmed for this intake installation was several days ago, only to find out that today, after all the hell that I've gone through, all the stuff I've had to buy, all the extra parts, every damn thing, I'm going to have to send my alternator and power steering pump bracket kit. I'm going to have to send that back. Oh my god. So I'm gonna pick this up again here in a few days, but this seems to be a common thing with my LS builds for some damn reason. When I did the LS swap, that was to be expected because I was putting an engine in a truck that did not belong in the damn thing. So there was a whole bunch of modifications I had to do to the truck itself. This was supposed to be a simple unbolt the stock intake and bolt up the new performance intake. It was supposed to be that simple, but it is not being that simple. So here in a few days, when my replacement intakes arrive, or my replacement alternator and power steering pump bracket kits, when they finally get here, I'm going to install them in that damn truck sitting right out there. So it's going to be another few more days, and we'll pick this video up again with that when that happens. And then, because you guys need to see what all you're gonna have to buy, because you don't just buy an intake and throw it on and shit works. No, it don't work that way. For some damn reason, LS just has to be a problem child. And I'm hoping like hell that at the end of this whole mess, it's gonna be a worth it problem. You know, it damn well better be worthwhile. But, oh my god, the amount of hell that I'm going through, I'm starting to wonder that if it's even worth it. But we'll find out here in a few days when I get more parts. I'm ordering 2 separate kits now, because so far I've had 2 alternator and power steering pump bracket kits that did not fit. So now I'm ordering 2 other ones. When they get here in a few days, we're going to bolt them suckers up and see what happens then. But, man, what a pain in my ass this is turning out to be. Anyway, whichever one doesn't fit, which will probably be both of them, knowing my luck, I'll end up sending back. So, I have no idea what the hell I'm going to do at this point. I can't use the stock aluminum, cast aluminum bracketing system, or whatever the hell it is, because the intake is hitting the top of the alternator. So I have to move the alternator, and while I'm at it, I'm going to have to buy a power steering pump bracket, because the alternator and power steering pump bracket that's stock on the truck is connected. It's all one piece. So I can't just move the alternator, I have to move them both. Anyway, so we will pick this up again here in a few days when it is light outside and hopefully not raining at that point, because I started this shit when it was sun shining, and a week and a half later, and now it's pouring down rain, so we'll see what happens then. So the hell continues. I bought a spacer, which is right here. Unfortunately, it's 3/4 inch, and apparently I need something more along the lines of 1 1/4, but they don't make a 1 1/4, so I have to go with 1 1/2. Otherwise, my alignment here, when my belt comes across here, will be over this edge right here, especially when it comes over and hits the idler. So, and I had to buy a 4-inch hose to put here, and I'm going to put a little pod filter over here, but the T-clamp that came with it does not fit this side. It needs about that much more thread on it for this one. So that's another problem, even though this is 4-inch and these are supposed to fit 4-inch and all that other good shit. That's not working. So it's just one continuous problem after another. But you know me, I'm not going to stop until it's done. I ain't going to start a project unless I'm going to finish it. So here we go. Oh my god, this entire project has been 3 steps forward and 10 steps back the entire time. Should have taken a couple of days. I'm now coming up on week 2. Anyway, I finally found a bracket here that looks like it's going to work. The only problem is my little connector back here grounded out and hit this. Even with the rubber boot on, it's still grounded out and started to melt this 8-gauge wire that's coming over to my little battery junction block. Started bubbling up right here, the rubber or whatever started getting so hot, so it's a good thing I did leave the battery plugged in, otherwise I would have got this all wired up and thought everything was cool, and then hooked that up, and then could have had a big ass problem. But there's a whole bunch of smoke coming out of here. I don't know if the alternator ended up getting fried. If it did, that's another $100 to $150 repair by itself. But I still need to hook up my idler, which is going to go down there underneath the power steering pump. And then I need to cut this belt and measure for a new one, go down and get another one, and that should be it. But yeah, if you guys think that this is just going to be a simple weekend project, one and done, everything's going to work, it's not. Even if you were to buy a taller intake, you're still going to have to cut that bracket back there. There's no getting around it. You got to get the fuel pressure regulator, because this doesn't come with one. You're going to need to get some kind of spacer thing here for your cruise control, if you plan on ever using that again. Just nothing has worked out. So I hope you guys can learn from the hell that I've gone through, and hopefully this doesn't happen to you. And as it turns out, I've actually spent more money on the parts to make the intake work than I did on the damn intake itself. So that's real nice. It's looking like I just called ICT Billet, because they're the majority of the company that I've been buying all these parts from. And I'm probably going to end up having to send everything back, including the LS1 water pump. And then see if they can make me a kit that will fit the stock intake, the stock engine, with modified valve covers, with modified intake. I mean, it should work, right? You wouldn't think somebody would have to go through this much hell and spend this much friggin' money just to do this. But that's the way it seems to be working out. So I'm probably going to be working into a third week of my truck being down, and I need my truck so I can go back to damn work. So in the meantime, I'm just sitting here either spending money or racking up money that I'm going to be getting sent back to me from when I return all this crap. So we'll see if ICT Billet calls me back and helps me out with this, because it's looking like they don't have any kits that are going to be fitting my truck. Despite the fact that they say 5.3 truck, 5.3 truck, and nothing works. So it's been several hours and I haven't received a call back from ICT Billet. Something tells me I'm not going to get a call back. Anyway, I'm going to return all this crap. I found a kit on my own, since ICT Billet never called me back. But it might work. It looks like it has the alternator bracket. It looks like it has the power steering pump bracket. And it looks like it also has the idler pulley, which is going to go underneath the power steering pump bracket. But for whatever reason, I could not find the damn thing beforehand when I was trying to order all this stuff. Plus, it also helps when you have to figure this stuff out on your own, because that's the only way you ever learn anything. But yeah, one of the problems I'm having is if I try to put the alternator underneath the power steering pump, on this side, for whatever reason, on the 2001 Tahoe, there's a steel bracket down there coming off of the chassis that was preventing me from putting the alternator down there, which is why I've got it over here right now. So again, check your truck, check your application before you think you're just gonna go do this and everything's gonna work out. Alright, it is finally done. Oh my god. Yes, I do have a cold now, in case you can't hear it. It took so long to get this damn thing finished. So you had to buy this. I had to wrap my mass airflow sensor, because it's so narrow on one end that it doesn't actually meet up with the 4-inch going all the way in. That's the 102 millimeters. So I had to wrap it with some electrical tape to build up the girth of the end of that, so that I'd be able to clamp this down to actually hold this thing in place. I ran my wiring coming over. I had to pull some of the wiring out of this loom so that I'd be able to stretch this wire coming over. I had to do the same thing over here with the alternator. I had to run some extra wiring going to the alternator. I had to splice into this so that I could make this wire coming all the way over here that clips into it. With this new kit that I got from ICT Billet, without any help from them because they never called me back. I don't know what the hell their deal was there. But I've got the LS1, I think it's an LS3, I'm not sure about that, water pump. I had to go to my local auto parts store and get an LS1 power steering pump, so it doesn't have the outlets and stuff that's coming out of the back. It has them coming out of the sides. I've got that all wrapped around. I've got my alternator. It's actually sticking out further away from the valve cover. I can now actually stick my finger back here, so it's actually spaced out further, so I don't have to worry about it bottoming out. Plus this bolt that's coming out of the back here for the positive wiring coming all the way over to my junction block is actually away from the valve cover now because this bracket is set up differently. I had to, multiple times I had to keep going to my auto parts store and getting a shorter belt because every time I'd measure it, turned out that it was too long and everything else. It does come with a tensioner down there. It's actually the mount for your original tensioner, which was up here somewhere, and then I just had to move it down there and put their pulley on it that came with the kit. Let's see. Fuel rails, that was a pain in the ass trying to get those all situated and putting the stock injectors in there. I ended up screwing up some of the O-rings, so I had to go buy some more O-rings before I could fit that on there, and I had to get a fuel pressure regulator. So now when it's running, I got it dialed in so that it's running just below 60 psi. And it seems to be running pretty good so far. I had to put these little circular cylinders over this cable. The proper way to do this would probably be to cut the cable and then get there's this little screw thing that you can put on there, and then you screw a screw into it and it holds on there. It's basically like this little press-on fitting or whatever that they put at the end of the cable. But what I did was because I didn't have one of those, not one that was available anyway, I just put these little tubes over it to make up this little space here, and then I crimped them in place, and then I zip tied this coming up and over. So now this is my cruise control, this is my throttle, and again I had to put little spacers on the inside of there and crimp those on to try to take up some of the slack from the throttle cable, so that now when I actually hit the gas pedal, it immediately pulls on the throttle instead of having this pushing it halfway. Now it finally starts to move this. So you will need a throttle cable kit thing because this whole setup here is not exactly what you need. Even though this is moved all the way back in this little slot right here, I still had a bunch of slack here in the cable. So when I hit the pedals and everything else and engage the cruise control, it still wouldn't engage the thing. I've got my electric fans on. A guy right there interrupting my video asking me if I needed a jump. No, I don't need a jump. Let's see. So yeah, I got my wiring for the fan. Yeah, I definitely had to go with the fan because the the car water pump does not have the little threading on the end of the water pump so that you can put that clutch fan on there. So you're gonna have to go with electric fans. So that's even more money. The belts, the kit by itself, the 4-inch silicone tube, which I had to spray WD-40 on the inside of to get it to fit over this, because for whatever reason, you see this bulge where it comes back down? For whatever reason, this is bigger than 4 inches, whereas this is 4 inches on the inside. And even though it should be straight across like that, instead it's coming in. So you can see that little bulge where it's coming out. So WD-40 in order to get that to fit. Hose clamps. That's pretty much it. If you want to try to go with an aftermarket intake, you're going to have to go through a lot of hell in order to get that sucker to fit on there. So just be prepared to go that extra mile if you want a nice looking engine. But all in all, it's pretty low. I've got this big old gap now. I mean, I think the original intake came up to about here, so all the way down to here. It's about a 3 or 4 inch difference between the truck intake and this one. So yeah, I'd say it's worth it. Looks pretty nice. Kind of flashy. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it helps. Hope you guys don't have to go through the same hell that I did. Have some shock just dropped on you that you need some help with. So hope it helps, and stay tuned for the next video. Okay, I'll let you guys hear it.